and welcome again to another week of A Weasel, a Pickle, and Levi, a podcast with three fine gentlemen. This week we are live in studio from, what is it? What is the city? Sevilla, Spain. There's a lot of Spanish being spoken around us. Sí. Do they eat tacos there? Is that? Oh, that was really bad. I don't know. Can you tell us a little bit about Spanish, like literal Spain culture? First of all, one second. We are doing radio. This week we're joined by a friend of the program, more than friends to someone on the program, Nicole Wichhart.
Hello, everyone.
Nicole, we are extremely happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Me especially. Just to be clear, she's more than friends to me, Chase Pfeiffer. Just wanted to be clear on that.
Out there.
Yeah, so Spain culture, Nicole.
Well, I've actually never been to Spain, so I don't really know a whole lot. I just enjoy Spanish, the language, and Spain is a place where they do speak Spanish, so.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hola.
Is it Spanish that you've learned? Spanish or more Mexico?
So in high school, we did learn some Spanish because they have a conjugation, like a verb conjugation that is for you all. Like that's like how it translates
Like
in
y'all.
English. Yeah. So we did learn that in high school, but in college when you study Spanish, they don't do that as much because there's so much other Spanish, like that form is just used in Spain. So it's very specific, and they don't use it in like Central America or Mexico. So, not as much specific Spanish in college studying. So, yeah.
We have a large Spanish. What, Nathan?
Can I ask a question about Spanish?
Go for it.
Vosotros again.
Vosotros.
That's the y'all.
That's the you all. That's the Spain form.
Okay.
Mhm.
We have a large Spanish audience.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say to our Spanish audience?
Hola. Bienvenidos. Sí. Es todo.
Muy bien.
Gracias.
I've been doing Duolingo at lunch.
I was gonna ask that. Is Duolingo a good resource to use to learn Espanol?
Okay, so I did a project for my linguistics class on this, the partner, and we researched, like virtual like apps that teach you language and like to see how effective they are. And at learning vocab, I think Duolingo can be really helpful. Like there's a lot of vocab on it, and you can learn a lot of words and like be quizzed on a bunch of vocabulary and grammar, like as well. You can learn some grammar through Duolingo. But as far as like learning a language is not simply knowing all the words and all the grammar. Like I believe like language and culture are like also very intertwined. So I don't think you can learn a language without completely learning the culture. And so that's where like immersion is really important in learning a language. And so that's where like Duolingo does not have that like capability to give you like complete Spanish immersion or things like that. So yeah.
Wow.
It's great having people on the podcast who have some semblance of an idea of what they're talking about, isn't it?
That is wonderful.
It is really nice.
Yeah.
Nathan, your brother does Spanish immersion, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
he's been learning Spanish from a Spanish teacher, all of his classes in Spanish for like 4 years now.
That's awesome.
So he's really good.
I always wanted that like so bad as a kid. I just wanted to go to a Spanish immersion school for some reason.
You were thinking about that as a kid?
Like in high school, like freshman year probably.
Okay. That's cool. That would help.
Yeah, it's much easier than learning it in high school.
Mhm.
I started learning Spanish right when Danny started, and very quickly he got better than I did.
Yeah. I mean, like your brain plasticity is different when you're younger too. So that's like why we learn language as infants, like our first language.
Mm-hmm.
What was the
School
what?
and teach Spanish or something, or is that not exactly what you want to do, Nicole?
With speech therapy, I don't know. I just really love language, so I really enjoy learning Spanish. So if I use it in a job setting, that I would love that. But I also definitely need to study it a lot more and to be able to use it in a job setting.
Okay.
Mhm.
You told me about like some girl who didn't learn a language.
Yeah. Yep.
And you want to talk about that a little
So
bit?
there was a like case study done on this girl because she was born into a house where she was like severely neglected and abused by both her parents, and authorities found her when she was 12 years old, but she looked like she was like 6 because she was like so malnourished, and she had been kept in like a dark room with like the door closed, and no one interacted with her except to like throw her food every once in a while for like all 12 years of her life. So she was like severely abused. So like obviously authorities took her, and they like linguists were fascinated by this because very rarely do you have someone who's never interacted with language. So there's like a case study done on her, and like it said that if you don't learn a language, if you don't learn one single language by the age of, I think it's like 12 or like 7 or 12, somewhere, or maybe it's an age range, you like are not fully capable of learning it at all. Like because so then she went to a lot of therapy, obviously, and she learned like a bunch, and she started learning really fast and picked it up really fast. But then she plateaued, and she like can't completely grasp the concepts of grammar because those parts of her brain weren't activated when she was young, so she never learned how to speak, and she never used that part of her brain, so it like atrophied and deteriorated.
Wow.
So yeah, like if you don't learn any language, then you don't have the capability to by like 10 years of age.
So that girl, like, how did she think? Because when I think, I always think in English.
hmm Well, like if you think about it, there's people who are deaf and they've never heard any language, so they think much more visually. So they would, if they learn sign language, if they learn ASL, then they would think in signs. They would see signs in their head to think. Or like if you can read, if they can see, they can think in like text. You can see text in your head. So pictographic, I think like people probably think a lot with pictures or images.
That's so weird.
Yeah, wow.
You can't even imagine it.
Yeah, I read a thing about internal monologues, and apparently some people don't have internal monologues. Like you said, Nathan, you think in English, but like, so some people like don't like you talk to yourself in your head, like you can hear yourself in your head, like speaking to yourself. But there's some people who apparently don't like speak to themselves, like they don't hear words in their head, like at all. So they have no internal monologue.
Hmm.
I've asked like everybody I know, and I have yet to find someone where that doesn't exist. So I don't know yet, but
Yeah.
Parks, you don't really have any thoughts, do you?
oh
We're
no.
having some poor audio this week. Nathan, can you try putting headphones in?
I don't have any today.
What happened?
Well,
Yes.
I'll come back.
Okay, just a
Okay.
quick break in the program.
Yeah. Wow. Nicole, when was this? Is this like an old story? Like, did this happen recently or?
I think it maybe like 80s or 90s she was found. I feel like it was older. I feel like her name was Jeannie. Like that was her like they didn't release her real name to the press, but like
Yeah.
I'm gonna look her up.
Okay. Because there are a lot of stories of, well, I don't know, people as children, like you're influenced by your surroundings a ton growing up, and so like there are a lot of stories of, I guess, kids who've grown up in the woods and like act
Yeah,
like
like feral children.
animals. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's what she's considered. Jeannie Wiley is her pseudonym. But an American feral child.
When was this?
She was born in 1957. Okay, so it was a very
She's
while
still alive?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess it doesn't say she died. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, when she was approximately 20 months old, her father began keeping her in a locked room. So sad. It's horrible.
Yeah. There was, this may not be that related, but there is in Sioux Falls 3 kids who were like treated horribly growing up. I think that this just got out in the news, and I think their parents gave them like math and stuff at an early age to try to at first to try to teach them, like, I guess that, like, never to get into drugs or something like that. I don't know. Just some, I know,
That's
just
awful.
some wacko, very
Some
sad.
reverse psychology.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
And then they used like a taser or something.
Holy cow, that's awful.
Yeah, so I just can't imagine as a child how different I would be.
Yeah,
growing
like
up.
how detrimental it is to your development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Now that we've talked about abused children,
I'm so sorry.
started off on a happy note here.
Yes.
Yeah.
About to get happier.
Yeah. So first topic, real good one. Ask Reddit question this week is, how could 2020 possibly get worse? I mean, it's been pretty good. There have been a few, bumps in the road. We don't need to mention them. How could it get worse, Parks?
Well, I don't want to steal Nathan's idea, but Nathan brought up that there's an election.
What would make that worse? Let's get political, Mark.
Oh no! Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
You probably don't have any opinions anyway, because that means you might offend someone.
Yeah, that's true. Confrontation is illegal in my mind. Yeah.
So what does that mean, like the election? So how could that make things worse?
Just more division, I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah. War.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like there was a lot of like at the beginning of the year, like nuclear threats or whatever that was going on.
World War III.
Yeah.
That would like literally end the war.
With Iran. Yeah.
Yeah, or like it was even like there was so many rumors that Kim Jong-un, North Korea's dictator, had like died because he hadn't appeared in public for 3 months.
Oh, I saw
and he
that.
missed like the nations. He missed North Korea's like he did not appear for their like huge celebration honoring like his grandfather who like founded something. He was like
the first dictator.
He was like very instrumental in their country, and they always had this like huge celebration, and he didn't appear for that because I think he had like some heart surgery or something. But no one had seen him since, and everyone's like, he's dead. But
that's
I think he's alive. But I don't know. They're just it's just like scary how much they can control the media and what gets out, and that no one can truly know what's going on inside their country.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's just a lot of instability that could get worse, I suppose, in other countries as well as our own.
Mm-hmm.
Murder hornets.
Murder hornets. Murder hornets. If you guys don't know about murder hornets, that could really screw us up.
Wait, are those like those bites I've been seeing on like social media with like 3 red dots on?
No, there's like a new species that has made it to North America that's like a murder hornet. I don't think it kills humans. I think it's called a murder hornet because it kills animals, but it's more fun to think about. And it's like it's a massive bee, like it's enormous. Like
I've seen 2 huge things that I were like, what are these in the past couple days?
Murder hornet, run, Nathan.
Are they seriously?
Get away. I don't know if it is or not. I don't know what you saw.
Oh, because they were scary. I was up on a ladder and I actually like almost fell because it started buzzing around my head.
There was 15 hours ago. There was an article published about the murder hornets.
It's a big deal. Big news.
Oh,
because people are killing native bees because of the murder hornets.
Oh, so don't kill bees, kill murder hornets.
You gotta make sure it's a murder hornet first.
Yeah.
Is there like
They're 45 millimeters in length. So
for us imperial people, that's 1.8 inches.
Oh, okay. That helps.
The one that I saw was 45 meters.
It was the size of a Navy ship.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How do you kill one of these? Do you just
murder hornet?
with a
Squish
gun.
It's a missile.
The only way is to shoot
Yeah.
it. It's so hard.
Start packing, boys.
Yeah, I'm going hunting for murder hornets.
Yeah. You're just walking down the street, staring at the sidewalk cracks, pointing your pistol. Oh, yeah, of course.
Officer's
It's
like,
got a shotgun.
Sir, what's going on today?
You would go to prison.
Yeah, you would. Yes.
Jeepers, look at this.
Oh,
It's terrifying. I'm trying to look up how you kill them.
maybe I'll make the cover photo of this podcast a murder hornet.
Can you turn your phone so we can see it?
Yeah, here, let me show you the one.
Yeah,
with
because
it
you guys
in
don't
his
have that
hand.
capability in your studio.
Oh,
Oh.
that's scary.
Yeah, it's pretty
Wow.
large
Parks-
jaws on that
Parks,
thing.
can you just
I don't know if I
describe
saw
what you
that.
just saw? Because this is radio and not
Yes.
television. So
I saw my life flash before my eyes. And I saw just death in an insect's eyes. That was
Yep.
quite,
you can tell it wants to eat you.
yes. Oh, I have some of the scariest, as a kid, scariest stories of like a hornet getting in the house. I cannot stand when there's like a hornet or a bee in a room, like, or
In an
in
enclosed area.
Have you guys
Oh,
ever been
man.
stung?
I have not, thankfully.
I haven't either.
I've been stung by a bee once.
I've been stung by a bee twice, but it was the same moment. 2 different bees stung me at the same
Oh,
time
what?
in my same arm. Yeah.
Did you cry? I
Yeah,
think I
I
cried.
was really little, I
hard.
cried.
Yeah. It's painful.
Yeah, I still have like a little thing on my arm from it too. Like sometimes there's like
Wow.
I know where it stung me at.
Oh,
When
no.
you guys were younger, would you attack hornets' nests?
No.
Hornets' nests?
Yeah.
Why would
Hornets
anybody
or
attack
wasps.
them?
Did you, Nathan?
Well, I did. Like, I would fill up a super soaker with soapy water,
No.
and then me and my younger brother would go, like, with these armed super soakers and just start spraying as
Ah,
fast, and then we'd take off running. Oh, it was so much.
That's quite the adrenaline rush.
It
Yeah,
was. It was so much fun.
Wow.
We would
The
kill
other
them
day when I
all.
was... What?
We would kill them all, too.
Hmm.
Just so you know.
You're a big, strong warrior.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why you're so brave now.
you have yet to
Yeah.
face a murder hornet yet, though. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the boss battle.
yeah,
Yes.
45-meter murder hornet.
Yeah.
When a bee stings you, all of its organs fall out, right?
I've heard something like its stinger gets stuck in you and then it dies. Like I've heard
Yeah.
that before. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
We need
what
a biology expert on the program.
Yeah.
I think they can like sting you and leave their stinger in, or they can not. Like,
Oh, that's a possibility.
yeah,
Hmm.
because like
Okay.
when I got stung, I didn't have anything left like in me.
Hmm.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how they work.
Yeah, we need to do a whole episode on how bees work.
That's a big thing. That's like a whole campaign, like save the bees and stuff.
Wow.
When I'm mowing the lawn and there's a bumblebee, I did this last week because I didn't want it to be mad at me and try to sting me. So like I lifted up the deck of the mower and then I like dropped it on the bumblebee. Is that bad?
Nathan, well, I'm gonna have to cut that part out because we're gonna get a bunch of hate mail
Yeah.
from our listeners.
Oh, dude, sorry.
I know Mindy. He's pretty passionate about bumblebees.
But is that a bad thing? Like, is there not that many bumblebees left?
I have no idea. Save the bees,
Hello.
obviously. Like that's important.
I don't mind bees; they're fine.
When they sting me, that's when I mind them. But
Yeah.
otherwise, they're fine. When I was driving to work the other day, I parked my car and then turned my vehicle off and looked at my knee, and there was a wasp sitting on my
Oh
knee.
no.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah,
In the car?
I just about threw up and then screamed.
First reaction. Is
Yeah. I survived though. It was
Aren't you-
scarring, but
Did you just like sit there? Like, you're
I
supposed
got
to
up. I
sit
opened
still.
my door and got up and like shoot it off because I didn't
Okay.
want it on my knee anymore.
I would just ride the entire trip with it on my knee. Because
Well,
I'd be scared to
I
move.
was at the end of the trip when I looked at my knee.
Oh, good. Oh, you
I
could
probably did ride the entire trip with it on my knee.
That's fun. Yes.
This is quite the podcast. So our conclusion, 2020 could only get worse through the election, maybe a war, but most certainly the worst
Murder
thing would be murder hornets.
Oh, for sure.
If they mutate and start killing humans
Yes.
instead of, because I think they're called murder hornets because they eat other bees, and that's the problem because they're like carnivorous and whatever.
Carnivorous. It's a good word.
Wow.
So I
They're
don't think they
dying.
kill humans, but it's just more fun too.
Imagine.
More fun.
Yeah, yay. Swarms of murder hornets
Hey,
attack an entire
hey.
village of people.
Arts, do you remember The Mist?
Oh, yeah.
That awful movie we had to watch?
Yeah, that's a reality.
It had these really, really big bugs that would chase people and kill them.
Oh, no.
It was
That is
really
2020.
dumb. Yep.
Watch out, guys. Murder hornets will get you.
Mhm.
Okay, that was good. That was fun. So we're going to go to our quote now. It's from Alice in Wonderland. I think it's from the sequel, Through the Looking Glass, by Lewis Carroll. And so this is Humpty Dumpty and Alice talking. I'll read it now. When I use a word, Humpty Dumpty said in a rather scornful tone, it means just what I want, what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less. The question is, said Alice, whether you can make words mean so many different things. Nicole, do you have any thoughts? You're the linguist here, the speech therapy person. You think about words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was doing some reflecting on like the meaning of words the other day, and like just with like so much media and so much like everything that happens in our nation or that's happening in our nation right now, just thinking like, what do words mean? Because like what are people saying? Like there's all these slogans that go along with the Black Lives Matter movement, and like with social media, everyone's been given a chance to like say whatever they want and like have the opportunity to make their opinion like be out there, which is good, but it also like makes the spread of information so much easier, especially when it's false information. So like, yeah, I just think there's a lot of things that people just say so quickly without thinking about the true meaning of it. And I just think, yeah, like the meaning truly of words is like deteriorating because we use them in so many different ways. And like, especially like if you think about like our slang language as teenagers, like we just make words mean whatever we want. Like we have the word yeet and we can use it in like so many different places. Like you can use it in so many different verbs. So I don't know. I've just been thinking about that.
Which like yeet, whatever, like that's meaningless and
Mhm.
stupid and funny.
Yeah.
Like, and so like that can be a fun, meaningless thing that happens. But then it can also be like an offensive thing where like that's so gay.
Mm-hmm.
And where like when somebody said like that test was so gay or whatever, and somebody like I've imagined the scenario in my head after reading kind of your reflections on this. Like if somebody says that and then somebody else gets mad at them for saying that's so gay flippantly, and then the person can reply, well, I don't mean anything by it. But that's kind of the like exact problem is when you just say things without meaning. Like that's offensive because words do have meaning and what you say carries weight. Like that's very unbiblical to think that you can just say things without meaning.
In the Screwtape Letters, C.S. Lewis talks about the problem of flippancy in language and how there are like different types of people who have different types of humor. And there are very few, like maybe such as Parks, who have been given the gift of like just being funny and charismatic.
Yes,
and
yeah, Parks has that.
A ton of people who just use flippancy. And, you know, those letters are written in the perception of a demon to another demon.
Yeah.
That demon calls it a great tool to lead people away from God, to take issues not seriously and making everybody just nonchalant towards everything.
Which I see that in myself. Like I'm at risk of that because I don't know. At the same time, I think like making a joke about a serious issue can take the tension out of it when but things do need to be serious at the same time. So I think there's a balance between taking something too seriously and getting overwhelmed by it and using humor for relief versus not taking something seriously at all and just laughing about it.
Yeah, I'm not black and white how that should look.
Yeah.
And like an example that was given in that chapter is using God's name in vain or saying like,
Yeah.
oh my God, or something like that. That was primarily what it's talking about. And also like, just different things that the Bible says don't joke around about. But yeah, I don't know. It's a confusing thing to me.
But yeah, like, we've so easily allowed ourselves to slip into that and to like get into places where we use language so flippantly when it's like so meaningful, and we've just used it so flippantly that we've taken a lot of the meaning out of it.
Mm-hmm. I think that applies to both writing and like audible talk. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think in school, I remember learning about, in Sunday school, I remember learning about like trigger words. I think this is in high school, and like some people, I don't know, have trigger words that really spur on negative thoughts about like something in the past, or like a word can just bring up some really painful, experience. And so it's really hard sometimes, but it's important to kind of consider who's listening and
Yeah.
where people are. Yeah.
Yeah, audience I think is important.
Are you guys worried? Oh, this is not a serious comment about this. So
Okay.
you can say it.
Oh no, you keep going, Weasel.
Okay. Are you guys worried about the de-evolution of our language into like just like nothing, like to just like 5 words that actually mean stuff, and then just like different random words like each? We lose something in our language. Because I think we have some from like if you are looking at old writers, their writing was so colorful. And like I don't understand what they mean at this point, but I think in some ways we've become less deep in our writing or stuff like that.
No, what do you think, Nicole? Like, cause language is fluid, and so like just because
Dynamic.
it's dynamic, just because it's different now, and just because it's different now doesn't mean it's necessarily worse than what it was. I mean, like Nathan, I would probably agree with you. Like texting language and slang and stuff is much less classy than like you're reading C.S. Lewis or somebody from like some old philosopher or something. Like I like that stuff too, but I don't know if it's necessarily worse. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the like what I am wrestling with too, because like language is dynamic, and I love that. Like I remember there was a moment when I was sitting in West Hall in the lounge, and somebody came in and was like, I'm looking for so and so, like, have you seen him? And I was like, no, I haven't. And then she goes, also, what does the word yeet mean? Because she didn't know. And I was like, well, how was it used? And she was like, oh, well, I just asked someone if they were coming to dinner tonight, and they said yeet. And I was like, and I sat there and I thought about the word yeet for the first time, like, as like grammatically thought about it. And I was like, it was so interesting to me because I was like, we've changed language. Like, it's so dynamic that we've like taken this word, and she said yeet as in a response to just mean, yes, I'm coming to dinner. But we also use it like, I'm going to yeet myself off the building. So then like throw, or like yeet it into another dimension. I don't know. Like people say those things. And so like we use yeet as the word throw. And so, yeah, like thinking about like language is dynamic, and it's changed. It's changed a ton from, yeah, like what you said, reading C.S. Lewis and stuff. But I don't think like, I don't know. I don't feel the danger of reducing language to 5 words. Like also because as a Christian, I don't know, like there are things like people believe like I don't know, in my mind I compare it to like climate change. Like people think climate change and like global warming is going to end the world. But I don't believe that, because that's not what scripture says. Like when Christ comes is when he comes. Like it's not, like I don't know. I don't have a solution to those problems because I think they are real problems. So like in that sense, I don't think that language can deteriorate that far, because then we wouldn't have the word. We wouldn't have scripture, and I don't think that's plausible.
Hmm. Yeah, and language is sometimes like really personal. Like some people use the same words. Like I enjoy saying the word peeved a ton. Like I always
Mm-hmm.
I've
say
also
peeved.
adopted that now that you've done it a ton.
Yeah, and I like that about language too. Like people have their own phrases and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like that's fun.
That's pretty odd.
Very odd. Enunciation is quite odd sometimes.
I think as Christians also, like, we should have a deep appreciation for words and language because, like, God formed the world with his speech and with his words. And so, like, if God can create the universe with words, like, we should have a reverence for the way that we use words
Mm-hmm.
also.
Mm-hmm.
And then also another verse that comes to mind when I think of like speech and language is when Paul says, I think in Galatians, let your speech be seasoned with salt. What do you guys like think that means?
What's the context?
Like he's like giving advice on how Christians speak and use their words. Like it's like exhortation on Christian living. And so so like seasoned with salt, they use salt to like preserve meats and stuff in that time. So they didn't have refrigeration, I think. And so yeah, I think they didn't have refrigeration. I'm not sure. They might have had it. So like use your speech in such a way that preserves life and doesn't like destroy it. I don't know. That's one way to take it, I think. Yeah.
It's good to
Colossians
know.
4:6.
I don't know.
Colossians.
Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person. Yeah, I think that gives a lot of like way to like what we talked about earlier with like context or your audience, like knowing who you're talking to, like being gracious in the words you're saying. Because like, yeah, you said like someone can say, oh, well, I didn't mean anything by it. Like, then why did you say it? One, and like, then was it being gracious to the people you were around? Or like, even if you're not around, like, I don't know, if you said something was gay, but you weren't around anyone who was gay, like, still that's not being gracious because
Right.
Yeah. And like a story that comes to mind for me with like audience and thinking about that is at Easter a year ago when we were at Michael's house and Parks, do you remember it? You know where I'm going with this, don't you? Okay, so like we're sitting at the table and Parks is like, you should shush someone.
Yeah.
It'll be
Oh
really
yeah.
funny. And so I won't mention names, but I look at this person and I shush them in front of everybody. Like they were talking and I shushed them and it was like really funny. Everybody laughed, but then I come to find out
really
later.
funny.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was funny. I was like, I had no idea that it would like cause pain. Because like with some of my friends, it would be just like, oh, we laugh about it and we move on. But I come to find out this person was offended by that, which like I should know who I'm with and like be very careful with what I joke about and how I like communicate with other people in group settings and especially when I don't know them very well. Like Parks, I can make fun of you a lot and like I know you well and like there's a line somewhere. I haven't found it yet, but
Okay.
but I'm not super scared of offending you and hurting you just because I know you well in our friendship. But whereas somebody I don't know well or somebody might have some trigger points, like I have to be very careful with how I joke around with people and like what you say in front of certain people.
Yeah. Gauge your audience. And along with that, just in general, even, yeah, like you said, even if there isn't anyone, like Nicole, you said, who is gay or something like that, just in general, trying to be better about, I don't know, having anything that could possibly be negative or not seasoned coming out of your mouth. That, yeah.
Like,
Parks, I think you're pretty good at that. Like,
Thank
and
you.
Nicole, I think you are too. And Nathan, you are. Like, I on the podcast right now, I'm probably the worst one at this, but I think you all have a very good reign on your tongues, and I
I've
respect
seen
that about
fruit
each
in
of
you too, Chase.
Yeah.
well, I think this is
Yeah.
the most encouraging like moment this podcast has ever seen.
Yeah, there we go.
I think
All right, this is getting too sappy. Let's wrap this piece of junk up. Just kidding. We got 6 more hours of this. Let's go.
Okay.
World record podcast length, anyone?
Yeah. I could do that. I just would be moving around a lot, but that's okay.
Yeah, we'll just have you driving and podcasting, Parks. It's been done before.
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay, I think we'll go 2 more topics. A little less deep than what we've talked about so far. It's getting a little heavy, guys. But musicals. We're going to talk about musicals. Nathan and Parks, do you guys enjoy musicals at all?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. Mm-hmm.
You guys have a favorite musical?
Is
I-
Chitty Chitty... What?
Yeah, there we go, Parks. Chitty Chitty Bang
I
Bang.
love
Dick
Chitty
Van
Chitty
Dyke.
Bang.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love that. Oh, me old bamboo, you better never bother with me old bamboo.
Yeah. Listeners, if you ever see Parks in person, please ask him to do the Dick Van Dyke dance from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
No,
Impressively good at.
No,
He's gonna get
no.
mad requests finally.
Yeah,
And he's gonna be
yeah.
on the streets and people
Yeah.
are gonna be like, "Oh, Parks, please."
Parks. Your Parks
Mr.
Rewind.
Rewind.
Yeah.
No. Oh, no.
I heard your
Then they'll-
podcast. Please do the dance. We'll pay you money.
And then I'll start dancing and they'll be like, oh, Parks, no, stop.
Some things you just can't unsee.
Yeah. I love Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, though. That's honestly one of my favorites. That's a musical, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
okay.
so.
Okay,
Parks,
so I guess
assuming-
like there's probably a difference between like was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang ever on Broadway or anything like that?
I have no idea. I really don't know anything about it.
Because there's a different
Okay.
because there's some musicals that are like Broadway only, and then there's
Yeah.
some that are on like movies.
Yeah.
Right. Mary Poppins I like, and that's on Broadway, I think.
I have no idea. I know
Okay.
very, very little about Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan, do you have a favorite musical?
I don't know much about them. Also, assuming someone doesn't know anything about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, could you explain what you're talking about?
Oh, boy. This is a
Are we
tough
supposed to
one.
assume you don't know what Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is, Nathan?
Just hypothetically for our listeners.
I
I
don't think
guess.
I really do either, Nathan. And Chase and I have talked about Chitty Chitty
Yeah,
Bang
this
Bang
is
before,
like
and I
the
still
third
don't
time we
remember.
brought it up together.
I have no idea.
Oh, boy. Chase, do you, like...
Yeah, it's
Okay, here we
it's
go.
a magic. So I think it's from like the 50s or 60s. It's a movie. It's like it's so long. It's like 3 hours long, and it's
2
about
hours 25.
It's
Yes.
like 5 hours long. It's this like magical car or something that can like
Yeah.
fly, but it's like a dream, I think.
I
That's
think
about
so.
what I remember. I remember this creepy kid stealer in it. I remember a candy factory. I remember a castle.
Yes, that's all true. That's good. Here's a synopsis.
There we go.
Well, while truant from school, young siblings Jeremy and Jemima meet the beautiful, truly scrumptious, who falls for their widowed father, Caractacus Potts, and his various oddball inventions, including the family's noisy rebuilt car, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Okay.
Yeah. One day at the beach, Caractacus tells Truly and the children a fanciful fable about the villainous Baron Bombburst. Here we go. That really
That
sums
sounds
it up.
captivating.
That
Yes.
told me so much and also nothing.
It's tough
Literally.
to not get caught up on the massively weird names.
Caractacus.
Yeah.
Jemima.
Jemima.
Sarah?
Oh my, what? Nathan, so you don't have a favorite?
Is Les Mis a musical? Because
Yes.
Pellicration did that once, and it was really
Yeah,
good.
so there's like TV movies and then there's live theater Broadway. So like a musical
Okay.
movie.
That's one of my favorite. Also, Western Christian, like a couple months ago, did Little Women.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the movie that came out, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It came out right before they did the play right before the movie, and that was really good too. So I like both of those.
Nickle, you're the musical expert here.
Yeah,
So,
I did a lot of theater in high school. I did 3 plays and 4 musicals. And I loved musicals. And I don't know, live theater is very captivating to me. Like something my director said that always like got me loving musicals. He's like, in a movie, like you get so many different takes of it. So like, and then the director picks the take he likes the most and like the most perfect take or whatever you want from it. And so everyone in the audience, like everyone who buys that movie or views that movie gets the same movie. But with live theater, it's a different show every night. So you could come to the show, like if you have a premiere like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or like a matinee on Saturday and a Saturday night show, and you came to both, you would get a different show every night because that's the nature of live theater. And like that was something that I always loved so much about musicals. And so live theater, I think, is very impressive, especially too, like just the amount of hours that have to come into it to make it all happen and run smoothly live is insane. But as far as favorites go, I love Hamilton, big Hamilton fan. Also, I really love Wicked. Like the soundtrack of Wicked, the music in Wicked is just incredible. Like just the band, the pit band is amazing, and like the vocals are just really good, and that's why I like Wicked a lot. But Hamilton, there's just so many words, and it's very like reflective, like the first act and the second act. So like I think that's something that I love about Hamilton is there's so much foreshadowing in it, and you have to listen to it so many times to understand it all. So like yeah, those are 2 big favorites for me.
Yeah, is Hamilton rap?
Yes, it's like some of it is sung and a lot of it is like spoken or like rap. So yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Nathan, I think you would really like Hamilton. It's like Revolutionary War stuff about Alexander Hamilton and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and like a lot of story that went down with that.
It's like Alexander Hamilton's life story, and it's pretty accurate, I think. Like I think there's a lot of research done for it too.
That sounds great. I would love that.
Really good.
I was asked to play in a pit band one time, and I said no in high school because I was busy, but I've regretted that since. Like, I wish I would have been involved in something there.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, I played in the pit, I think for 4 years in high school. That was very fun. Yes.
Did you do pit once at Dort Parks?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
My Fair Lady,
My Fair
I think.
Lady?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do that, Nicole?
I didn't know. I went and saw it.
What about you, Chase? Have you answered?
Oh, favorite musical?
Yeah.
So I've seen very few musicals. Never been a big musical guy. But I watched for some reason, like it's so weird why I watched Chitty Chitty Bang Bang a lot when I was little, but I did. It was like a staple in my house for some reason. Neither of my parents are people who would watch a musical, and so I don't really get it. So I like that one a lot based on a lot of nostalgia. And I listened to most of Hamilton on the way to see Nicole, and that's pretty cool. I'll probably watch it this summer because it's coming out this summer.
Big news. Hamilton. So they announced a while ago that they were going to make it into a movie, like, which is very rare because it's Broadway. So like it's super illegal to video or record anything for Broadway because it's Broadway and it's live theater, and that's like it's there for live, not for television. But then they announced that they're making a video, like recording of it with the original cast that they're releasing in like October 2022. And I was like so pumped. I was like, that's so far away. That's like 2 years, but I was so excited. This summer, they announced that they're releasing it on Disney Plus on July 3. Because like I think because of COVID or something, like you know, like a lot of things on Disney Plus got released early because they're like, oh, everybody's at home, watch this movie. which is like insanity, and I'm so excited.
Probably the best news she's gotten in the last like 6 months.
Truly, I was very, very, very excited about it. I told everyone in my family like 3 times, and they were like, "Okay."
What did your dad say to you?
He said, "Oh, great glories and splendor," or something like that.
Great raptures.
Yes,
of glory.
raptures of glory. I was like, "Dad, Hamilton is coming to video, like to Disney Plus," and he said, "Great raptures of glory," and I was like, "Okay, thank you, Dad. Like, being excited about this with me."
Yeah. That's awesome, though.
Mm-hmm.
For our radio listeners, Nathan's having some technical difficulties. He's using a potato to record. Oh, he's back on. He had a black screen.
Did you guys hear the screaming audio?
No, we heard no
nothing.
screaming.
Oh, good. I did.
No.
And my computer blacked out. But I'm back.
That's good.
Yep.
Okay, so musicals, those are good. They're growing on me. I don't know. It was just tough for me to watch them. I would get annoyed with the singing in high school. I just wanted the story. But
You gotta see live theater.
I've never done live theater, and so like I got to give that a shot. I really like the movie A Star Is Born, which maybe isn't as much a musical, but like the story in that's really good. It's really sad. Yeah. Our last topic is chocolate. What do we have thoughts on chocolate? Any opinions on chocolate? Hot takes. Parks, give me a chocolate take. You're an expert in chocolate, judging from the amount of desserts you grab from the commons.
Okay, yes. Okay, well, I just had chocolate actually about 20 minutes ago with my sister.
What form of chocolate were you consuming?
We both had some donuts, some chocolate donuts.
Classic.
It was National Donut Day on Friday, I believe.
Wow.
Where
yes.
did you see that?
That's
because I just saw that in the front page of the Platt paper or something.
Oh, I don't know. We just really like donuts at our house,
Okay.
so we know those kinds of things.
Yeah,
I
of
guess.
course.
Yes.
Gotta keep it
So my hot take is that chocolate is 10 times better with skim milk.
Well, the hottest take in that was skim milk being a thing at all. That's
Skim milk is so good.
It's perfectly fine. I approve of skim milk.
I think it's like I'm fine with the other percentages as well, but I think skim milk is good. Yes.
I want
Guys are
either of you to provide a fence for skim milk because I can think of none.
a defense.
It's just milk. That's the defense.
It's not just milk. It's
watered
water.
down.
No,
milk.
it's literally not though. That's the thing.
I think like literally they put white food coloring in water and put it in those bags.
I agree with Nathan. Nathan and I very rarely agree on anything in this life, but we can agree that skim milk is just water with white food coloring. But honestly, I think in the culture at this point, Nicole and Parks have the hot take with liking skim milk. It's a hotter take to like skim milk than to not like it.
Yeah.
At least in the Midwest.
Yeah, I don't often speak my mind on this issue because I just get so ridiculed. Like going to the comments and I would just not drink skim milk simply because I was afraid of the public sentiment that would be against me.
Yes, every time.
It's
time.
tough to be you, isn't it?
It's hard.
You're very brave.
Yeah.
For you to wake up every morning knowing you're going to get ridiculed about skim
milk in my bowl of cereal.
Every time I touched that lever for skim milk, every eye in the comments just went.
Yeah.
We should do something to rig the skim milk machine. We should cut a big opening in it so if somebody pushes the lever, it just all falls out.
Comes out. Like a massive dumping of skim milk.
Or make it so that it sprays in their face because it's just water, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, they won't smell like milk or anything. They'll just get a nice little face wash.
Well, they do add the smell to make it seem.
Oh, yeah, a little more real.
Yeah, not the taste though.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Was that wait, okay, that was my
That was a hot take on
That
chocolate. Skim
devolved
milk.
from chocolate to skim milk. Both topics that cause a lot of division in this country at the moment. Skim milk and chocolate. That was not any type of metaphor for racism. I promise. Nicole, are you a connoisseur of chocolate? All things chocolate?
Yes. If it's
Yeah.
chocolate, it's pretty
approved.
good. Yep.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
What about dark chocolate? I think we've talked about this
Yeah,
before.
I'm fine with that too. Like, I don't know. I'm not super into like fancy chocolate or anything. Like, I'll eat a Hershey bar and it will be fine to me. Like, it's all chocolate to me. But like dark chocolate, so I've never had like super dark chocolate. I've tried like the unsweetened like cocoa, like the baker's bars.
Awful.
That's nasty. Never do that, guys. It's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Scarred for life from my childhood from that.
It's bitter.
You're like, oh, there's this giant bar of chocolate. Like, I'm gonna take a bite. No regrets.
It's like taking a bite out of a cocoa bean.
Yep.
Which I've done, yeah.
Okay, yes. Didn't you give a presentation on chocolate?
I gave a presentation on chocolate. Part of that presentation was researching it by trying a ton of different kinds of chocolate, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice. 90%. So we tried like different percentages of cocoa, like dark chocolate. I don't know at what percentage it stops being considered dark, but 90%, like above 70% is too bitter for me. But 70% I can do, 70% cocoa.
Yeah.
Nathan, do you eat chocolate?
We're really good.
What?
Yeah, I love chocolate. And the stuff you brought was pretty good for material science.
Oh, yeah. Like we handed some out. I think we handed out some Dove chocolate.
Mm,
And some Dove chocolate, too. That stuff's really good.
yeah.
And inspiring.
Do you guys have you guys had like those Lindor truffles?
Mm-hmm.
That's top of the line for me. You've never had that, Nathan?
No. Oh, wait. Is it those little, like, chocolate balls?
Yes, yeah, like the inside is like melty.
We had that in Mall of America for several years, and the lady gave us a fruit sample, and I just dropped it. I'm pretty sure, like, yeah. So she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and she came and brought us another free one, and we just left.
And she was peeved, kind of. We just left.
I thought she was unhappy because we were supposed to buy some then, but we don't have money, and so
they were expensive.
When was this? Was this year?
Yeah, this was on our engineering trip. So yes, I've had those.
I love just extended silences where we're all staring at each other.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, this needs to end. Okay, gentlemen and lady.
Sup?
Yeah, dog. We've done what we do always on this program, and that we've flown, slithered, as Parks once said, crawled, jumped, hurtled through various topics.
And until next time.